Sweating sickness. It was said that you could be merry at dinner and dead at supper, and in the 15th and 16th centuries it terrified everyone, even kings. Then it disappeared. What was it, and where did it go?
Let's dig into this.
Sweating sickness exploded in England in 1485, although it may have existed before then in small pockets. Records show the disease broke out in Milford Haven after Henry Tudor had landed with troops to battle King Richard III at Bosworth Field. After his victory, the new King Henry VII went to London, arriving on August 28th. The sweating sickness broke out there on September 19th and killed thousands before disappearing in the city in October. Because of this, Henry and his troops are usually blamed for the sickness, although the city of York experienced a terrible, unknown disease months before Henry landed.
One of the best descriptions of the disease came from John Keyes, sometimes called John Caius, a physician from Shrewsbury, who wrote a book on the illness in 1552. He wrote the disease came on suddenly with a feeling of fear and dread, followed by the victim becoming very cold and shivering, sometimes violently. Dizziness and headache were accompanied by severe pain in the neck, shoulders, and limbs, which generally lasted from 1 to 3 hours. Then came the sweat. Victims were said to sweat profusely, becoming delirious. Their pulse would become rapid, and they would often have heart palpitations and excessive thirst. The final stage was an urgent need to sleep. Keyes and other physicians believed if a patient was allowed to give in to the exhaustion and sleep, they would not wake up.
Skin would often turn red, but there was no rash or lesion. The entire course of the disease usually lasted 18 to 24 hours, and if a patient made it through the first day, they had a strong chance of surviving. Survivors had no immunity from reinfection, and some suffered several attacks before dying of the sweat. Strangely, sweating sickness usually occurred in summer and early fall.
The cause of the disease has been researched and argued over 500 years, and we still have no good answers. Relapsing fever, a bacterial disease spread by ticks or lice, is often blamed, but symptoms don't match. Hantavirus carried by rats and other animals may be closer, but it doesn't spread person to person like the sweating sickness. Bodies have been exhumed and studied, and researchers continue to look for the cause. DNA samples have been difficult to obtain, and we still don't know what it is or where it came from.
Epidemics broke out in England 5 times between 1485 and 1551, and it's almost always said the sweat didn't spread beyond England. But it reached Calais, then an English territory, during the 1528 epidemic, mostly affecting the English there and not spreading into France. By 1529 it had reached Hamburg, probably by ship from England, and spread to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, and south to northern Italy. The disease seems to have lasted about 2 weeks wherever it spread, and it was gone from the continent except for a small pocket in Switzerland by the end of 1529. It has never returned.
Most reports of the illness say the sweating disease really didn't affect the rural folk, and the aristocracy and clergy were hit the hardest, which makes sense based on the living conditions of those classes. Large households with many servants packed tightly into a couple of buildings. Some have said children weren't affected, but the sweat did not discriminate. The mortality rates were the highest in males aged 30 to 40 years, but many children, including 2 of Henry VIII's nephews, died.
It also changed the course of history. It may have been the disease that killed Henry VII's son and heir to the throne, Prince Arthur, 6 months before his 16th birthday, and it sickened Arthur's new wife, Catherine of Aragon, who survived, paving the way for Henry VIII in more ways than one. Henry VIII was terrified of the disease and would move from palace to avoid it, with good reason, since it attacked many close to him. His love, Anne Boleyn, was sick with the sweat in 1529, and the world would be a much different place if she had not recovered.
The last major outbreak was in 1551, and except for a few small outbreaks, it disappeared by October of that year. But a similar disease known as the Picardy sweat appeared in France in 1718 and caused more than 200 outbreaks by 1918.
At the time, many thought they were actually the same disease, but the Picardy sweat seemed to attack people who lived on farms or slept close to the ground, and it caused a rash, unlike the English sweat. An outbreak in 1906 made more than 6,000 sick and was attributed to flea bites from field mice, making hantavirus a likely suspect. It is the only known disease to resemble the English sweat.
We haven't seen a disease that killed as quickly and disappeared as completely as the sweat in 500 years. And barring a new discovery of DNA from the time that could provide answers, we will never know what it really was or why it disappeared.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next one. Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.